The world is full of unsolved riddles that refuse to fade into history. Some mysteries are so strange, so unnerving, that even decades of investigation have failed to provide satisfactory answers. These are the cases that haunt investigators, baffle scientists, and keep us awake at night, wondering what really happened. From abandoned ships floating on empty seas to travelers who vanished without a trace, these 6 mysteries remain as chilling today as the day they first emerged. In the frozen wilderness of Russia's Ural Mountains, 9 experienced hikers met their end in circumstances so bizarre that theories still swirl more than 6 decades later. On February 1, 1959, the group led by Igor Dyatlov set up camp on the slopes of a mountain whose name translates to Dead Mountain. Something during the night drove them to slice open their tent from the inside and flee into temperatures reaching 40 degrees below zero. The hikers scattered across the snowy landscape, wearing only underwear and socks. Search teams eventually found their bodies spread across the mountainside. 6 died from hypothermia, but 3 showed severe injuries including crushed ribs and fractured skulls. One victim was missing her tongue and eyes. Stranger still, some of their clothing tested positive for radiation. Russian authorities concluded a compelling natural force caused their deaths, then promptly sealed the case. Recent investigations have suggested a rare type of avalanche might explain the tragedy, but questions persist. Why did experienced mountaineers abandon their only shelter in deadly conditions? What caused the internal injuries without external wounds? The mountain keeps its secrets locked beneath layers of ice and snow. The ocean holds its own collection of unsolved puzzles, and few are more famous than the tale of the Mary Celeste. On December 5, 1872, the British ship Dei Gratia spotted a vessel drifting near the Azores Islands. The crew boarded and discovered the Mary Celeste completely deserted. Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife, their young daughter, and 7 crew members had vanished. The ship was seaworthy with 6 months of food and water still aboard. Personal belongings remained undisturbed, and the cargo of 1,700 barrels of alcohol was largely intact. Only the lifeboat was missing. The final log entry placed the ship near the Azores 9 days earlier. Investigators found no signs of violence, struggle, or piracy. One theory suggests leaking alcohol fumes may have created a brief but terrifying explosion that left no burn marks, prompting an emergency evacuation. Another proposes the captain misread water levels and believed the ship was sinking. Whatever the reason, 10 people climbed into a lifeboat and were never seen again. The Mary Celeste continued sailing for 13 more years before meeting its end in an insurance fraud scheme, but the fate of its passengers remains one of maritime history's most enduring enigmas. America's oldest colonial mystery began in 1587, when 115 English settlers established a colony on Roanoke Island off the coast of North Carolina. Their governor, John White, sailed back to England for supplies, planning to return within months. War between England and Spain delayed his journey for 3 years. When White finally reached Roanoke in 1590, every colonist had disappeared. The settlement stood empty. White found only 2 clues carved into wood: the letters CRO on a tree and the word Croatoan on a post. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island where friendly native people lived. Bad weather prevented White from investigating, and he never saw his family or the other colonists again. For centuries, theories ranged from disease and starvation to massacre or assimilation with native tribes. Recent archaeological discoveries suggest the colonists may have split into smaller groups. Researchers have found English artifacts both on Hatteras Island and at inland sites, indicating some settlers integrated with indigenous communities. Evidence includes ironworking tools, writing tablets, and European pottery mixed with native objects. Yet despite these findings, the full story of what happened to the lost colony remains incomplete. Did they choose to leave, or were they forced? Did they survive among new communities, or perish in the unfamiliar wilderness? The word Croatoan still echoes across the centuries as a cryptic message that refuses to fully reveal its meaning. Scotland's Overtown Bridge presents one of the strangest animal mysteries ever documented. Since the 1950s, dogs have been jumping from this ornate Victorian bridge to the rocks 50 feet below. Researchers estimate 300 dogs have leapt from the bridge, with at least 50 dying from their injuries. The incidents follow an unsettling pattern. Most jumpers are long-nosed breeds like collies and retrievers. They almost always jump from the same spot on the right side, between the final two parapets. The jumps happen on clear, dry days. Perhaps most disturbing, some dogs that survived return to the bridge only to jump again. Owners describe their pets becoming suddenly transfixed or agitated before bolting over the edge. Canine psychologist David Sands investigated and proposed that the scent of mink living beneath the bridge might overwhelm the dog's senses. Experiments showed most dogs gravitate strongly toward mink scent. The theory suggests dogs catch the smell, leap toward what they perceive as ground-level vegetation, and misjudge the ravine's actual depth. Local residents offered darker explanations. Some believe the bridge sits on a thin place where the spiritual and physical worlds meet. Others point to a tragic incident in 1994 when a father threw his infant son from the same spot, convinced the child was evil. Warning signs now urge owners to keep dogs leashed, but the phenomenon continues to this day. In the quiet town of Taos, New Mexico, a portion of the population can hear something that most others cannot. Since the early 1990s, roughly 2% of residents report hearing a persistent, low-frequency hum. Descriptions vary widely. Some compare it to a distant diesel engine, others to the whir of a fan or the buzz of bees. The sound seems strongest at night and indoors. For some, the hum is barely noticeable or even meditative. For others, it causes sleep disturbances, headaches, and severe irritation. In the most extreme cases, people have moved away to escape it. Scientists from multiple research institutions investigated using sophisticated monitoring equipment. They measured acoustic, seismic, and electromagnetic energy but found no definitive source. Different hearers reported different frequencies, ranging from 32 to 80 Hz. Some continued hearing the hum even after leaving the area. Researchers have proposed several explanations. The sound might result from industrial equipment, though no specific source has been identified. It could be related to geological phenomena or atmospheric conditions. Some scientists suggest the hum may originate from within the human ear itself through spontaneous otoacoustic emissions. Others theorize certain individuals possess heightened sensitivity to low-frequency sounds most people cannot detect. Similar hums have been reported worldwide in places like Bristol, Windsor, and Auckland, but the Taos hum remains the most famous. Whatever its cause, the phenomenon challenges our understanding of perception and reminds us that some experiences defy easy measurement. When Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 vanished on March 8, 2014, the world watched in disbelief. The Boeing 777 was carrying 239 people from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Less than an hour into the flight, the plane disappeared from radar screens. Despite becoming the most expensive search operation in aviation history, neither the aircraft nor any definitive wreckage has been recovered. Satellite data suggested the plane veered dramatically off course and flew for hours over the Indian Ocean. Small pieces of debris later washed ashore on various coastlines, confirmed as coming from the missing aircraft. Theories about what happened range from mechanical failure to pilot suicide to hijacking. The lack of a distress signal, the apparent deliberate course change, and the complete absence of the main wreckage have fueled endless speculation. Families of the passengers continue seeking answers while investigators piece together fragments of evidence from ocean currents and satellite pings. Flight 370 represents one of aviation's most baffling disappearances, a modern mystery that demonstrates how, even in our age of constant surveillance and tracking technology, a massive aircraft carrying hundreds of people can simply vanish. These mysteries share a common thread. They resist explanation despite exhaustive investigation. They challenge our desire for closure and our belief that every question has an answer. Some may eventually be solved through advancing technology or lucky discoveries. Others may remain forever unknown. their secrets lost to time and circumstance. What makes them truly haunting is not just their strangeness, but the reminder that the world still contains dark corners beyond our understanding. These cases show us that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that actually happened, the ones where we can examine every detail and still come away with more questions than answers. They prove that reality can be stranger and more disturbing than any fiction we might invent. As long as these mysteries endure, they will continue to fascinate and unsettle us, standing as monuments to all the things we still do not know about our world and the fragile nature of human life within it. A terrifying detail